There is one thing that will improve your kitesurfing performance more than anything else, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. Think, if you will, that you've got two brains, okay? One of them, I was thinking these are little guys sat on my shoulders, you know, one sat here, whispering in your ear. One of them is the animal brain, the instinctive brain. This is the brain that we share with lizards, you know. This is the one that is responsible for all those actions that you don't really control, are just instinctive, just happen without you thinking about it. Like when you put your finger on a hot plate or a hot stove or in a fire, you know, you withdraw the finger instantly, because to leave it there and try and think about whether you should take it out or not lets that finger get burned. So this is an instinctive reaction that happens, and you cannot actually block, or it's very, very difficult to block that reaction because your instinctive brain takes over. The other one is your human brain, your rational mind. This is the part of the brain that we use for planning ahead, for rationalizing, for taking past events and projecting future consequences with what we do. It's also the part that houses the inner critic, that part of you that's constantly, you know, you're not good enough, you're never going to do this, why did you do that, you're rubbish, you're an idiot. That part of you, which we all love so much. Now, what you've got to realise is that to these two brains, each of your senses has a connection. So from your sense of sight, for example, from your eyes, you have one connection running up to the human brain and one connection running down to the animal brain or the instinct brain. What you've got to realise, the animal brain connection response time is 10 times faster than the human response. Why? Because your human brain's got to think about it. You know, it's got to work out, it's got to take the information in, pass it through its filters, process it, work out what it means, and send the response back to you so you do something about it. Your animal brain doesn't do that. It just has a preset reaction. This is what we do. You know, you put your finger in a fire, this is what we do. Okay? You see a snake, this is what you do. You see a tiger, this is what you do. So it has all these pre-built responses built in. So for that reason, it's a lot faster, as we've said, 10 times faster. Now, your human brain doesn't trust your animal brain. It thinks it's a bit of an idiot. You know, the human brain likes to think it's very intelligent. It's its higher reasoning capacity. So it tells the animal brain constantly what it should be doing and what it should be looking out for. And you've experienced this probably when you're learning to kite surf. You know, it's that constant voice in your head saying, right, what do you have to do? Look at the kite, look at the board. What's the waves doing? What's the water doing? You're doing this wrong. Change this. Your stance is wrong. Get your bum in. Get your hips forward. Get your head back. It's that voice that's constantly talking to you, okay? Constantly talking to your animal brain, telling it what to do because it doesn't trust it. And what happens is when your human brain is talking to your animal brain like this, your animal brain doesn't perform very well. However, when we leave the animal brain to just get on with it, it does really well. And if you've ever noticed, when you're on a roll with something, when you're really doing well, you know, when you're in that moment just doing it, whatever it is, you're not really thinking about it. Your human brain will have turned off at that point. And this is a key concept to understand, that your human brain, it loves all the technical information, all the how to, all the, you know, why do we do this? What are we trying to achieve? What does this do? What does that do? But that information doesn't help your animal brain. Your animal brain can't use that, and it doesn't need it. And what's more, the more of it gets, the worse it performs. So what we're actually trying to do when we get you onto the beach and try and teach you kitesurfing is try and get your human brain to shut up. Why? Because performance in anything can be measured by a really simple equation. Performance equals animal brain minus human brain. So my role as a coach and your role as a trainee, once you understand this, is to increase the animal brain or the influence of the animal brain and decrease the influence of the human brain. So what does it mean? Well, it means that as a teacher, rather than giving you loads and loads of technical information which will feed your human brain, and human brain's, wow, great, I've got loads to get onto the animal brain about now, we try and cut that out. So we give you as little information as we can possibly get away with, hoping that your animal brain will jump in and take over, because as we've said, your animal brain knows what it's doing. And a great example is, because I'm sure some of you are thinking, hang on a minute, what's he talking about here? Think about changing gear in a car. The first time you tried this, if you're anything like me, it seemed like an impossible task. You know, there's all these different things to do, all these things to think about. How on earth am I ever going to do this? And I've only got a split second to do it. Now, if you've been driving a while, you go back and do it. You cannot break it down into its separate parts. It's become one action that you do not think about. key. Your human brain does not get involved. It's learned to trust the animal brain on this one. It's handed it over. And you just do it without even thinking. Because if you do try and think about it, and I challenge you to do this, make sure you're on a quiet, wide road at the time. But if you do try and do this, if you do try and actually think about what you're doing, often the action is very, very clunky, very, very slow. Because, as we've already said, that human brain is 10 times slower than the animal brain. So as I've said, what we're trying to do in teaching when you're learning to kitesurf is increase the animal brain, reduce the human brain, reduce the chatter. Now there's several ways you can increase the animal brain. It's not just the animal brain itself, because obviously this is linked to your whole body. So this is about upgrading your body at the same time as letting the animal brain take over, because you might have the best animal brain in the world, the best ability to shut out the human brain, but if your body can't actually perform the action that's being asked of it, it's no good. So link the animal brain in with kind of muscle memory, physical ability, things like this. We're trying to increase that while reducing the human brain, the chatter from the human brain. And that's when performance, that's when learning goes through the roof. We go into this in a lot more detail in our course that's designed to knock days, if not weeks, if not months, off the time it takes you to learn to kitesurf. You can check out the video which explains all about it in the link below this video now. Just scroll down, there's a link down there, click that, it'll take you over to the video which explains exactly what it's about. But basically we go into this technique, how you can increase the animal brain and all the performance related around that while decreasing the chatter from the human brain. And honestly, the results that we've seen from this since implementing it on the beach are incredible. You know, people go from stalling for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks to suddenly flying like that. It is unbelievable. So I really advise you check that out. Would love to see you on the inside, guys. That is all for today. I will speak to you next time.